All right, let's go. Grab your backpack, get your map. We got some exploring to do. Searching the island, so we're going to create this island map, which is pretty cool. We get Captain Sahir and Naassia as objective allies. And then we also are going to put the Temple Guardian guarding a gate key up in the staging area. And then side 1B, it's got the exploration keyword. For each progress that would be placed on searching the island, you may place it on a location in the staging area instead. So the way the map mechanic works is you take all these lost islands, you give them a shuffle, and you put them in the rows like you saw I had. And then you take the 3 Temple of the Deceived locations and place them in a column on the right. We're going to flip over the 2 corner locations on the left, and we get to choose one of those to start at. So let's give these a shuffle. One of these 3 locations is the grotto, and that's what we got to get to. We got to find the grotto, but in order to travel to and flip over a Temple of the Deceived location, we need to get a hold of the gate key. So the gate key is being guarded by the Temple Guardian. So he's pretty nasty. He has X threat, where X is the number of players. He's immune. He can't be optionally engaged. And then he gets minus 50 engagement cost when the Cursed Temple is the active location. And then the gate key, we exhaust a hero to grab that. The Cursed Temple is one of these locations that are the Lost Islands, so it's one of 12. Helping us on this quest is our new BFFs, Captain Sahir and Naassia. We can give them resources. Captain Sahir can get 6 resources total once per round, and he stacks them up and gets a boost to attack and willpower. And Naassia can spend resources to give her attack or defense a 2 boost. My heroes that I'm bringing Eleanor. Don't ignore her, because all the locations are out in play, so lots of treacheries. So you can exhaust Eleanor after a treachery is revealed, and then you discard it and reveal the next card instead. I'm also bringing Damrod to help me play some traps at a discount of 1 to a minimum of 0, and he's a good quester and attacker. And he draws a card when you trap something. And then I'm also bringing a Marthiel, so he gets the tactics resource icon when I'm engaged with an enemy, and then he gets an extra resource every round when I'm engaged with 2 enemies. So I'm going to try to trap some enemies and do a Dunedain deck. Okay, let's look at one of the locations we could start at. It's the Jungle Path. While it's the active location, locations immediately above and below are not considered in the staging area. And then the forced effect doesn't trigger because we were told not to trigger the forced effects when we flip over these 2 corner locations. Okay, let's look at the other choice. That one's not bad. I wouldn't mind starting there. And then, all right, so we do find the Cursed Temple right off the bat, and you might be thinking, boy, that's really lucky, but it's just okay. It's not actually that great, and I'm going to explain why right now when I explain how this map mechanic works. So in this quest, there will always be an active location that I will indicate with a marker, and while you are at a location, other locations that are next to you, above you, or below you are considered in the staging area, unless text on the card that you are at says otherwise. The jungle, you only count the locations to your left and right because you're traveling through a jungle. You can't travel over it, you can't travel under it, so super thematic. And a lot of these locations are like that, very thematic if you think about why locations to certain sides can't be in the staging area. But in this case, we're going to have 1 location in the staging area, so that's going to be 2 additional threat we need to worry about. You can travel to another location as long as you've placed enough progress to clear the location you are at. So once you have placed progress to clear the location you're at, you're allowed to travel to another location in your staging area. And when you travel there, you flip it over and you do the forced effect, and then that location is now your active location. Also remember, if you place extra progress, you can put them on locations in your staging area. And once one of those locations has 4 progress, you can flip it over and take a peek at what you might be traveling to. So you can get some knowledge and know what the location is that you're going to go to. If you're at a location with the Ruins trait, things get worse. And if you travel to the Cursed Temple, remember that Temple Guardian is going to come down and get you. So the reason I am not super excited that I found the Cursed Temple right off the bat is because of where it is. It's way over on the left, and I have to get to the right, and the jungle location I'm at doesn't let me travel straight up, so I have to go to the side, and then up, and then back, clear it, and then travel all the way over. I would have much rathered it been somewhere in the right 2 rows of the Lost Island, because when you're traveling to locations in the middle of the island, as long as you're making lots of progress, you can flip over the locations next to you and see where you need to go. And there is a location that lets you travel up to 3 locations away. So you can bounce around this island really quick. So maybe I can find one of those and travel faster. It's great that I found it, but finding it is usually not the issue. Traveling around the island is the issue. So we're going to see how this works out. One of the reasons this quest is on the easier side is because you don't have to travel. So right now this jungle location isn't really hurting me, so I can sit here for as long as I want. So if you bring a deck with a lot of threat reduction, you can really make this quest easy. I did not bring a lot of threat reduction on purpose, so I could kind of make this quest harder on myself. My plan was to travel around the island as much as possible early to try to find the cursed temple, but since I know where it is right off the bat, I still need to plan on traveling a lot in the early game to get there in time. Honestly, I think I'm going to have to do just as much traveling to get to that temple and over to the other side of the island as I would have if I was just trying to find the darn thing. Alright, so let's put a marker on the jungle, and you're probably looking at the runtime and saying, holy cow, this is twice as long as any other video I make. And yeah, this is a long quest. There's really no way around it. You have to explore a bunch of locations to win this thing. And it's already a crowded play area. We're going to have the glorious mess that is LOTR LCG going here. And then, of course, I decide to bring a trap deck. So here's a preview of what my board state's going to look like in about 20 minutes or so. Ugh. All right, so yeah, it's going to be pretty chaotic. So let's see what I get in my opening hand here. Looking for a trap, looking for some resource excel. Ooh, Test of Will is good. I get my 1 copy of Unexpected Courage, a couple allies. So I got a resource acceleration card with that Ranger Provisions. No traps, though. Not going to keep that one. What I would like is the Heir of Valindial that lets you reduce the cost to play these Dunedain allies. And I would like some more card draw to get some cards in my hand. The reason Eleanor and Test of Will is in this deck is there is a treachery that makes you discard most of your hand, and I don't want that treachery to hit me. Dunedain I thought would be a good archetype to bring against this quest because all the allies are really expensive, and you get punished for having cards that cost 2. So I'm hoping this works out. Let's see what I get. There's some card draw. There's Scout Ahead. This is a great side quest. Okay, Ranger Provisions is Resource Excel, Test of Will, and then 2 allies. So not bad. No Heir of Valindial and no trap, but I got to keep it. But it's not the worst. I'm glad to have a Test of Will. And okay, I got my 2nd copy of Test of Will, so I got both of those. And oh, okay, there we go. There's Heir of Valindial. So card draw is key. I'm going to get rid of, with Daron's runes, I need that Bowman. I need that Tactics one. So I'm going to get rid of the Dunedain Watcher. She cancels a shadow effect. All right, so we'll put Scout Ahead in. So that's the quest I will be questing against. That lets you look at the top 5 cards of the encounter deck and mess with them. I'm going to put Ranger Provisions on the active location. So it costs 1, and when it's explored, the first player adds 1 resource to each of his heroes' resource pools. So very cool. And then I'm going to use Damrod's resource to give Captain Sahir a resource, so now he has 1 willpower. And the way this deck loses is early game willpower. It really, really struggles. So if you decide to take this deck up against this quest, just know you got to get kind of lucky with the willpower situation. I have definitely lost because of willpower early game. I know my camera isn't quite showing all the cards up in staging, so I might be putting some graphics up there so you can see the cards that are in there. But basically, the Temple Guardian is 1 threat, and then we have 1 location in staging. That's the location to our right, so that's 2 threat. So we are currently up against 3 threat, and then, yeah, okay, that's pretty bad. So it's a 3 threat enemy that cannot be optionally engaged, and then when we travel to a ruins location, it comes down and engages me. So that's not what I wanted to see. I didn't want 3 threat right off the bat. Next round, we get the Ranger of Cardland. You can spend a resource after engaging an enemy to put him into play. He's a Dunedain. And still no traps. All right, let's give Captain Sahir a little willpower boost, and we're going to commit to the quest. And I can send everybody, since I have that Ranger of Cardland that can come into play if I need to engage an enemy. So still not questing for a lot. And oh, there it is. All right, dwindling supplies. That's the one that makes me discard all but 3 cards. So Test of Will is going to take care of that. And if I hadn't had Test of Will, I would have not sent Eleanor on the quest. So she could have canceled it and revealed the next card. All right, so we actually make a progress, which is pretty awesome. I'm not allowed to engage the enemy up in staging, so we are going to go right into the next round. Come on, trap. And all right, Deep Knowledge, Doom 2, draw 2. A lot of card draw in this deck. I want to see all my cards. More card draw, and we get the Warden of Anuminous. He is great if you're engaged with a lot of enemies because he gets +1 willpower for each enemy you're engaged with. Not helpful right now and pretty expensive. Until I get an enemy engaged with me, this deck is going to really stall. I'm going to pay full price for this Ranger card of land to get 2 willpower on the table because, as I said, that's what's really going to make this deck struggle early is my willpower. I still have a Test of Will, so I can send the entire team. So let's do it. And we get, all right, back to back. Yep. My second Test of Will cancels the second dwindling supplies. So, all right, I'm glad to have taken care of those. And believe it or not, we make enough progress to clear the active location and place one on the location next to us. So since we cleared that location, we get to trigger the Ranger provisions, and every hero gets a resource, and we are not going to travel. I need to see what location it is before we travel to it. And then I realize actually I don't place the progress on that location. I actually place it on Scout Ahead because I was questing against Scout Ahead. So it was the active quest instead of the main quest being the active quest. So I actually did that right. And as I'm doing the end of round stuff, I realize I would have spent the resource Damrod got from that Ranger provisions to give Sahir another willpower. So I'm going to do that right now. I would have done that last round, so I can still do it this round I'm in. And I draw, there's a trap, Entangling Nets. It's a new one. So when an enemy is trapped in the nets, it gets -2 defense and attack. So you get an enemy trapped in that, and then you engage that enemy, and he isn't attacking for much. So that's the goal. Let's see. Ancient Matham is no use right now because I've already explored the location I'm at. I'm going to play the Heir of Lindiel onto Amarthiel, so now as I'm engaged with enemies, I can exhaust Heir of Lindiel and reduce the cost of the next Dunedain ally I play. Let's give Sahir another resource, and let's commit to the quest. There's a bunch of enemies I would like to get trapped. There's a couple I don't want to get trapped. This isn't really the best quest to play a trap deck against. I just thought I would give it a try. Like I said, this is kind of an easier quest, so I'm making it a little tricky on myself. And no enemy, it is a treachery. It's Curse of the Deceived, but, whoops, there it goes. It's a good one for me because it just does damage to non-objective allies that cost 2 or less. So that is not going to be harmful at all. And so that is no threat. So we get to clear Scout Ahead, which means I get to look at the top 5 cards of the encounter deck, add 1 to the victory display, and put the others back in any order. Perfect. Okay, so those, what are they called? Drowned Dead? Those are the ones I want to trap. Those are perfect for my traps. So I'm going to try to arrange these cards so I get both of those Drowned Dead revealed, and the shadow cards are ones I can handle. I just got to decide which of these 3 treacheries I want to get rid of, and I forget to. Yep, I forget to add 1 to the victory display. It would have been the Furious Rainstorm. That's the one I was thinking of putting in there, and then I think as I was trying to plan this all out, I forgot I was supposed to add 1. So sorry about that. That is a mistake that I made. Please don't make that mistake when you play that side quest. Okay, Deep Knowledge again. 2 more cards. There's my Master of the Forge and my 1 copy of Unexpected Courage. That's going to go on Eleanor so she can cancel 1 treachery and do something else. And it's not really canceling, is it? It's just ignoring it and then going to the next card. Wow, lots of attachments found with this Master of the Forge. There's my 1 copy of Path of Need, which is great for this quest because you're always at the same location for a while and your heroes don't exhaust to do anything. But I'm actually going to grab that Forest Snare. So there's 2 copies of Forest Snare in this deck, and I need to find them because once I get 2 enemies in Forest Snares, everything starts working really well with this deck. So finding one of my Forest Snares is perfect, and we need to get some enemies. But I know what I'm revealing, so my next few rounds are going to be pretty easy because I know what I'm up against. All right, Unexpected Courage is going to go on Eleanor. So the way it works is I can commit her to the quest and then pop her back up, and then she can use her ability, or I use her ability, and then after staging is done, you exhaust Unexpected Courage and pop her back up. You cannot use her ability in the same staging step because there's no action windows for you to trigger Unexpected Courage in the staging step. So you can use her once, and then she's exhausted until the staging step is done, and then you can trigger Unexpected Courage and ready her back up for the travel phase, or the end of the quest phase, I guess. Okay, so Captain Sahir has got a lot of willpower now. I knew I was revealing this 2-threat enemy, so I get to draw a card. That's a good one. So the more enemies I'm engaged with, the more cards the Sarnforn Sentry grabs me when she comes into play. And I make a couple progress now on the one uncharted location in my staging area. I'm going to engage this enemy. He has a -2 attack, so he is not attacking for much. Amarthio will defend. I knew this was the shadow, so it does nothing. And now I am engaged with an enemy. So that is very nice. I can start to get a discount, and I can start to get the benefits of having enemies engaged with me. I guess I'll attack with Nausea just because, to deal damage in case I ever need to start killing enemies if I get too many engaged with me. She was ready, so might as well use her. All right, next round. And, we get another Sarnforn Sentry. Okay, great. I have the Master of the Forge. So many attachments in this deck. He'll never whiff. Never. Bet you thought he was going to whiff. There's my Path of Need again. Man, that thing really wants me to find it. Gather information would help me find it too. I know eventually I'm going to have another enemy coming, so I think I'll grab the other Entangling Nets because it's free with Damrod's discount. So it's nice to put in a free trap. I know that other Drowned Dead is coming next round. This round I'm revealing a Treachery. If I had remembered a card should have went in the victory display, I would have been getting that enemy this round. So not that big of a difference, still a mistake. All right, so let's put the Entangling Nets into play for free. I have a lot of allies in hand that I'm ready to get into play. I just want to see what this location is that I'm going to travel to, so I'll be able to prepare for it. So let's make some progress this round, and then we'll be able to start moving around the island after this. All right, so I am currently up against 6, and we are going to send Sahir for 5, and we got Eleanor ready after she uses Unexpected Courage. So we get deeper into the ruins, so I have to raise the threat in the staging area by every location to the left of me, but there is none, so then it just gains Doomed 1. Just dripping with theme. So cool. All right, and what is this? Oh, this is nice. Okay, so this is the Winding Cavern. So this is the one that lets me travel up to 3 spots away once I clear it. It takes 6 to clear it. So let's travel there. I can handle that right now. So now I should be removing the progress from that jungle path. I forget to do that. I'm going to get attacked by this enemy in the net. He's not attacking for much. Amarthio will defend. There's no shadow. And now we can go into the next round. So in staging, there's 2 threat from each of the uncharted locations, one above me, one to the right. And then the jungle path is committing its 3 threat to staging. And I don't get that right. I don't get that right when I do the staging step. I actually have to correct it a little later. I realize my mistake. So pay no attention to the threat in staging until I get it right. So I drew Ranger Provisions, and then the Master of the Forge found me my second Forest Snare. I think I had 4 out of 5 attachments in that group. And you can see my deck is quickly going down, so that is excellent. So now I have 2 Forest Snares. That's exactly what I need. So we can play Dunedain for a cost reduction of 1 by exhausting the Heir of Valindial. So let's get into play the Guardian of Arnor. So he gets +1 defense for every enemy I'm engaged with, and he has a base defense of 1 and 3 hit points. Let's put some Ancient Matham in these Twisting Caverns, or whatever they were called. So when we clear that, we get to draw 3 cards. And then finally, the Forest Snare will go on this Drowned Dead, so he no longer will make an attack, and I get to draw a card after attaching that to him. And we draw a second copy of Master of the Forge. That is not a card I'll be getting into play, most likely. All right, we're sending 11 on the quest, but I do not have my threat calculated correctly. So in the staging area, there's 2 uncharted locations and the jungle, which is 3 threat. So that's 7, and then up in staging as far as enemies, there's 4. So I should be up against 11 threat already. I do get this right when I begin questing next round. I realize I didn't do my staging area correctly. So ignore any progress I make. I do get everything figured out next turn. We know what we're up against. It's going to be another Drowned Dead. It gets trapped, so -2 attack. Ooh, and we draw double back, which is amazing, because that is the only threat reduction I have in this deck. So I'm happy about that. Now, I gotta admit, I wish this location had the Ruins trait, because when we travel to a Ruins, we're going to have to engage that big enemy up in staging, and I'm going to get enemy swarmed if I travel from the Twisting Caverns to the Cursed Temple, because I can travel to a location 3 locations away, and that's going to be 2 big enemies coming down, so I'm kind of nervous about upcoming combat. Okay, so my defender there, he's defending for 3 against 2, so no shadow, he's fine. And then I can swing back and do some damage, but I'd actually kill him. So they're both -2 defense. So I guess I'll just not kill either of these. One's not attacking, and one's only attacking for 2. So I've gotten 2 enemies engaged with me, and they're both kind of wimpy now. So that means Amarthiel is going to get an extra resource every round. And we get to draw a card, Daron's Runes. Okay, let's draw 2 more cards. Lots of card draw in this deck. All right, we don't need a second copy of Heir of Elendil, but we do get the Armored Destier, which is a card I really am glad is available to us now. All right, Master of the Forge whiffs. So that's actually really surprising, because there's a ton of attachments still in this deck. So I'm really surprised I got a whiff. All right, so we're going to put double back into play. So it's 4 progress to clear, and then we get to drop our threat by 5, so that's what we're going to be questing against. We're going to exhaust the Heir of Elendil and put in the Sandthorn Sentry, so she comes in for 1 resource and draws me 1 card for every enemy engaged with me, so I get 2 cards. Let's put Ranger Provisions on that location we're going to explore this round, hopefully, and I forgot to discard that Shadow at the end of combat. All right, time to commit to the quest. I should be able to make enough progress to clear everything. And yep, here we go. So instead of placing progress last round, I actually raised my threat. So I do get that right. All right, my threat has been raised, and I'm really starting to doubt if I should have traveled. I forgot about all the extra threat that would have been added by traveling to this place. So I have to send as much willpower as possible. I'm going to need to give Captain Sahir as his last resource. So he's questing for 6. And I'm just barely ahead. I'm ahead by 2 right now before I reveal a card. I'm honestly wondering if I should just quit playing, because I might just be out of luck here. And I get another Island Watcher. So that's 3 threat, so I got to raise my threat again. When I travel to a Ruins, I'm going to be engaged with 3 enemies now if I go to the Cursed Temple. So I don't know if I'm just recording a loss at this point. Okay, Amarthiel's going to defend. The Shadow makes me discard the bottom card of my deck. If it costs 2 or less, I get attacked again by this enemy. So this is where hopefully my expensive Dunedain cards come into play. And the card I discard is a Warden of Anuminous, who costs 4. So he does not make an additional attack. That is very fortunate. I could have defended with Eleanor, I guess. It would have been 2 against 2. All right, well, the other guy doesn't attack, and we're going to go into the next round. And I'm on my heels here, guys. It's not looking good. I am very concerned that I've been playing for 20 minutes and I think I'm going to lose. So let's just keep playing. We'll fight through it, and hopefully I can get some more willpower on the table. So I do get 3 attachments. One of them is Path of Need, which, you know, is great. You attach it to a location while that location's active. Heroes do not exhaust to quest, defend, attack. But that doesn't actually really help me at this point. I'm not worried about combat too much, and I'm already sending everybody on the quest except Amarthiel, so it's expensive to get very little benefit at this point. All right, so let's put in a Warden of Anuminous, so he gets +1 willpower for each enemy I'm engaged with, so he's questing for 2, so there's a little more willpower. Let's play the Armored Destier, so it's going to go on Amarthiel, and then he can defend and attack. And then Armored Destier, after the defense is done, will ready him, and I discard a shadow card from another enemy engaged with me. So that's very cool, but it's not willpower, unfortunately. And that's what I really need right now. So sending every ounce of willpower I can, except Amarthiel. It is 17 against 14. We get a Surging Throngs of the Unfaithful. That's one I would love to get engaged with me and keep engaged with me. And then a Furious Rainstorm, which says I either have to raise my threat by each character committed to the quest or deal damage to each character committed to the quest. Well, all my questing characters have multiple hit points, so here comes a lot of red. But we survived. Actually, I don't know why I damaged Amarthiel. He wasn't committed to the quest. Well, anyway. We actually make progress because that treachery didn't add any threat, and the Throngs only added 1. So this is great. My board state is absolutely a mess, so I am going to be cleaning everything up here in a few minutes. So let's have combat. So 3 enemies engaged with me, 2 are attacking, and 2 are attacking for 2. So we're just going to get rid of that shadow card. I know you're supposed to do it at the end of combat, but just to keep some sort of sanity, we're going to just get rid of it now. Amarthiel's defending 3 against 2. The shadow does not do anything, and then I can trigger the Armor Destier to ready Amarthiel, and then get rid of another shadow card from an enemy engaged with me, so that shadow goes away, and then he can defend safely. And now I'm engaged with 3 enemies, and I am feeling pretty good about the Dunedain deck working well, as far as, like, I'm engaged with enemies, and the Dunedain are powered up, but I have my threat climbing, I have a willpower issue, and I need to get to a ruins, which means I'm going to be engaged with 3 enemies when that happens. So not out of the woods yet, not out of the jungle yet, maybe I should say. All right, we're going to find some more Matham, so plenty of card draw. But right now, let's get willpower down. So another Warden of Anuminous is going to come in for a discount of 3. They're each questing for 3, so that's great. Look at all those attachments. Masters of the Forge finds me a Ranger Spikes, which is really good. I've been really wondering where those are. So I'm definitely going to spend 1 resource and put that in the staging area so an enemy gets trapped in it and gets -2 threat, which is really important right now. So I basically put 2 willpower cards into play, pseudo willpower, for the Ranger Spikes. And yeah, I mean, those Wardens are questing for 3 each. Sahir's questing for 6, and we do get an enemy. Oh, that worked out so good. Okay, so I only added 1 threat, and then I get to draw a card, and I get Halbrad, who gets a -1 cost for each enemy I'm engaged with, so he'll be coming in next round. And look at all the progress I made. This is so good. All right, so we are actually going to clear the Twisting Caverns, and I really wish I remembered that I didn't need those progress on that jungle location. That would give me more tokens to play with. Okay, so those 2 attachments, they technically don't get discarded from the island because they, the island location didn't go away. But anyway, I'm just going to get rid of them to make my board state more clear. So we got resources, and you saw what I drew there, some really good cards, 2 more traps. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. Amarthiel defends. Armor Destier is going to ready him. We're going to discard the shadow card. We don't need to engage that other guy that's trapped because the enemies don't make engagement checks while they're in the Ranger Spikes. I cannot optionally engage those Temple Guardian Island Watcher dudes, whatever they are. So they're staying up there until I travel to a ruins, and then that's going to be quite the combat phase. All right, let's go into the next round and see what happens. All right, next turn, and we draw the Watcher, so she gets rid of a shadow card if you discard her. Okay, Halbrad's going to come in for 1 resource. There's 2 more willpower. And then I can exhaust the Heir of Lindiel, and we put in a Fornost Bowman, so he gets +1 attack for every enemy engaged with me. This is why I didn't travel to that Cursed Temple last round. I needed to get him in play. Let's use the Forest Snare for 2 resources, so that guy's not going to attack. Ranger Provisions, okay. And then I'm going to spend a resource to put in the Entangling Nets this turn. So if I do reveal an enemy, at least I'm going to knock down the attack, because I am planning on traveling to the Cursed Temple because I can travel to a location that's 3 away. And holy cow, is it going to be an intense combat phase. Okay, so after double checking my math, I'm going to be sending 20 against 15. So I'd love to clear double back if possible. So let's see what we reveal. It is an enemy. It is a Faithless Desecrator, and he is one that you really don't want to keep engaged with you because he adds his threat to the staging area. Okay, so after I trapped him, I get to draw 2 cards, and they're both Rangers of Cardaland, which is really good. I wasn't counting on getting those, but now that I got those, it kind of opens up my possibilities during combat. So I only added a couple threat, so we do make enough to clear double back, so I get to drop my threat by 5, which feels really good, and that's it for threat reduction for this deck. All right, and now, as you can see, this board state's insane. So what we're going to do is we're going to travel there, And then I'm going to spend some time and clean this up. So give me a moment, please. Okay, that looks better. I condensed the map, and because I traveled to the Cursed Temple, all 3 of those enemies come down. The Island Watchers are going to be getting 2 shadow cards, and because I engaged enemies, I am going to spend resources and put in these Rangers of Cardaland. So that was a nice surprise to draw those. I had a plan without them, but I'm definitely going to put them in. I'm not really 100% sure what all the shadows are in this quest. I didn't play it very much, and when I was playing in real life with real cards, I realized how many of these enemies were really terrible to keep engaged with me. One adds its threat back up to staging. One doesn't let your deck to be searched. So I don't know if I'd recommend playing Dunedain against this quest. It really wasn't very smart once I started getting into it. Okay, so once I did all of the shadow cards, the Temple Guardian didn't get one, so that's nice. I was going to discard it with the Armored Destier. So he will kill the Master of the Forge, and I don't have to worry about an additional attack or anything. Okay, so what I'm going to do is get rid of the 2 shadow cards off of the Forest Snared enemies just to make everything look better. They're supposed to get discarded at the end of combat. So the one enemy is attacking for 0, and the other one's attacking for 2 that are in an entangled net. So I'm going to have Eleanor defend this one. It's 0 against her 2. Okay, she survives. And then Amarthiel is going to defend this one, his 3 defense against 2 attack. And there's no shadow. Then I can trigger Armored Destier to ready him, and I can discard one of the 2 shadow cards off of one of the Island Watchers. It did have an effect. Okay, so it would have been +2, so that's good. Now, my defending Dunedain is defending for 8, because it's +1 for every enemy engaged with me. So even though he gets a +2, and a +3 if we got the gate key, which we don't. But still, he handles that attack no problem. A Ranger of Cardaland will defend the other Island Watcher 4 against nothing, so that's good. I was going to have Naasia defend that one. So I take a couple damage there. And now we can attack back. And this is insane. The Fornos Bowman just attacked for 8. So ultimate Dunedain power! And then I had used Amarthiel, Eleanor, and Naasia to kill the other Island Watcher and the Ranger of Cardaland to damage the Faithless Desecrator, but I actually realized it was smarter to power up Naasia with a resource, so just her and the Ranger of Cardaland could kill the Island Watcher, and then Amarthiel and Eleanor had enough to kill the Faithless Desecrator, because it had -2 defense, so I just backed up just a little bit, and took care of 3 of the enemies I was engaged with, still leaving me engaged with 4, and I need to be careful here, because only characters with 2 or more willpower can ready while we're at the Cursed Temple, so I got to get that right. The Rangers of Cardaland are going to get shuffled back into my deck once we get to the end of the round. All right, next round. As a reminder, what I need to do here is I need to kill the Temple Guardian so I can put the gate key in staging, and then I can exhaust a hero to grab it. And then we need to travel all the way across this island to try to find which one of those 3 locations on the right are the grotto. So we have a lot to do still, but we do have a really amazing board state going. So I feel like we have overcome the big hump of this quest. And again, I'm going to really stress, I did not really play test this deck against this quest. I just knew this quest was on the easier side. Oh, geez. Okay, come back. And yeah, I don't think I would take a Dunedain trap deck against this quest. It doesn't seem to be the right idea since these enemies aren't really good to have engaged with you. Okay, so I draw 4 cards there with the Sandforn Sentry, and I get my single copy of Descendant of Kings. That is the card I was really hoping to find. So I was going to draw 4 cards with her and then put 2 copies of Ancient Matham on the active location, so I would draw 6 cards and find it, because I knew I had it in the deck still, and it was just a one of. But I'm glad to have it, so that lets you ready Dunedain characters equal to the number of enemies engaged with you, which is going to be very helpful in combat. All right, so let's get another Fornos Bowman in. They're each attacking for 5, so they're going to let me kill that Temple Guardian once we get to combat. I've added some willpower, and yeah, the Dunedain are rocking and rolling. So we are going to be able to go into the quest phase with a really good board state, even though I couldn't ready any of the characters with less than 2 willpower. I played Wingfoot on Damrod, so what you can do is you name what card type you think is going to be revealed by the encounter deck, and then if you are correct, you get to ready the attached character. And it's a great card for this quest because there's no location, so you have a 50-50 shot of getting it right. So I'm just going to say enemy every time. So we're sending 20, and it's not an enemy, it's a treachery. It's deeper into the ruins, so you raise the threat in the staging area for every location to the left. There is none, so then it's doomed 1. I don't want doomed. I'm worried about my threat. So I'm going to use Arnor to exhaust her, and then you discard that card, and then you get the next one. Oh god, is this worse? It's Curse of the Downfallen. Oh, no, actually this is fine. Deal 1 damage to each non-objective ally you control with a printed cost of 2 or less. So this is why I thought the Dunedain would be good against this quest. I have no allies with a printed cost of 2 or less because I already lost my Master of the Forge. So we were only up against 5 threat, 2 from the uncharted locations and 1 from the trapped enemy. So we get to take a peek because we placed 4 progress on those 2 locations. And we do find another Winding Cavern. So when we travel there, we get to move 3 spaces away. That's really nice. I was hoping to find that. I was just going to start moving my way across the top of the island and peeking at other locations as we went. I know you can't see it, but my threat is 40, so I'm not really against the clock. I still have quite a few rounds before I'm going to threat out. Let's see what the other location is. Oh, Jagged Cliffs. Okay, that's one I don't actually want to see because you can't travel to the right. That's not helpful, so I'm glad those 2 weren't switched. All right, let's go into combat. So dealing out the shadow cards, the 2 in the forest snares I'm just going to get rid of. And then, oh good, there goes one of those supplies ones that make me discard my cards. And then combat's really easy because I'm going to do Descendant of the Kings and ready 4 Dunedain characters, which includes Amarthiel. I'm going to ready my Defender. I'm going to ready my other Bowman. And then I don't even think I need another character to help me. So I will just ready one of these Wardens of Anuminous. They attack for 2. I don't think I need it though. Okay, so combat, like I said, easy. Amarthiel defends 3 against 2, no shadow. And then Armored Destier pops him back up. He discards this shadow card. So goodbye, that one's no fun if you control the gate key. And then my Defender is defending for 5 against 6 with no shadow. So he's going to take 1 damage. And now I can swing back. So both of the bowmen are attacking for 5. And then Eleanor and Halbrad and the Ranger of Cardolan help kick in the rest. So we do take care of the Temple Guardian. And because Amarthiel is ready, he's going to grab that gate key. And what you can do is exhaust the gate key and spend 3 resources from the attached character to peek at one of the temples over there on the right. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that because next round I'm going to want to exhaust the gate key so I can actually travel to one of them since I can travel 3 spaces. And I'd like to just get over there as fast as possible. So you have to exhaust the gate key to flip those over if you want to travel to them. So I can't spend the resources by exhausting the gate key to take a peek and travel to one in the same round. And to be honest, I'd rather just get over there and just start clearing those things. My board state can handle whatever comes at me. Hey, and we draw Ranger Spikes. Thank you very much. I don't need any more enemies engaged with me, so whatever enemy we end up revealing, if any, it'll just get trapped in those. I did have to reshuffle the quest deck a while ago, as you saw, so everything's back in it, including those stupid island watchers. All right, speaking of watchers, let's play the Dunedain Watcher. So she can be discarded to cancel a shadow effect, so she's going to come in. And I don't need to draw cards. I don't really need resources. So everything else can just stay in my hand at the moment. And we can start moving through this island and get out of here. Good Lord, this is a long quest. There's no way to get around it. It's long. You got to just explore. All right, we are sending 18 against 6. And we get a treachery. We have to remove characters from the quest equal to the number of uncharted locations in our staging area, like their willpower, I guess I should have said. So there's 2 uncharted locations, so we got to remove 2 willpower, which is no problem. One of the Sandforn sentries can just be removed, so we go down 2 willpower. I actually thought it was 4. I thought it was 2 characters. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We made plenty of progress. We just needed to make 6, which lets us clear that location, and now we can travel up to 3 locations away. So let's see if we get lucky. Let's travel to this temple. We have to exhaust the gate key to do that, and we're looking for the grotto. Give us the grotto. Here we go. Temple of the Deceived getting flipped, and it is not the grotto. It's the temple halls. So while it's the active location, each character gets -1 attack and defense. And then when it is flipped over as active, which it just was, the temple guardian comes back into play and it's going to engage us. So we have to deal with this guy again. So we're going to have combat, but once Dunedain are online, combat really becomes a non-issue. So I'm going to deal out the shadow cards. He's no longer -50 engagement. He's got 50 engagement. The 2 shadow cards dealt to the forest snared enemies do nothing. And then, as the last few rounds, Amarthiel defends 3 against 2, no shadow. And then Armor Destier is going to pop him back up. He's going to discard this shadow card, which was nothing. And then this guy is attacking for 6. And all my characters have -1 defense. So actually Amarthiel was 2 against 2. So that's actually going to kill that guy since he has -1 defense. So I was going to defend with the defender. And then I realized I might as well just lose this Ranger of Cardaland instead. And I could kill the Temple Guardian. I have plenty of attack, but I'm just going to have to engage him again when I travel to the next Temple of the Deceived. So let's just go into the next round and see if we can find it this time. All right, we don't need that Dunedain Hunter to come into play. So let's play the Defender for free. That feels awesome. And then let's just commit to the quest. I think we can win the game with the board state we got here. So just making sure we send enough to clear the location we're at, and then we can travel to the next temple. We can't flip it over. You can't place progress on it to flip it over. It's not Uncharted. So all you can do is just exhaust the gate key to travel there. And we reveal, okay, it is the depleting supplies, so I need to discard down to 3 cards, and if you can't, it does something else. So that's why I'm kind of keeping these cards in hand. I figured I would be getting that treachery eventually, and I don't care if I cancel it at this point. I've been able to build my board state. So there goes that Path of Need that I never played. It just never was a good time to play it, and I needed to keep using my resources early. It's a great card for this quest if you can get it into play and just sit somewhere and not have your heroes exhaust. But, yep, we're going to travel to the next one. Come on, Grotto! Gosh, darn it. All right, it's the same location we just saw. So now we're there, and the Temple Guardian would re-engage us. Everybody's -1 attack and defense. And it's basically just a repeat of the previous combat phase. So make sure the shadow cards get dealt out correctly. Amarthiel is defending for 2 against 2. Oh, there goes the other depleting supplies. So get rid of those shadows. Here we go. 2 against 2. I had to exhaust the gate key, so that's why I just did that. No shadow. He lives. No problem. Discard this shadow. There was no shadow. And then my second defender that I just put in will defend it, and he'll take 2 damage. And once again, we're not going to kill the Guardian. There's no point. Let's just go right into the next turn. All we got to do is clear this location, and then we'll be able to travel to the 3rd Temple of the Deceived, which is definitely the Grotto. My threat is 43, and yep, feeling pretty good. I'm going to keep these cards because I have 4 cards. So I don't think there's a 3rd copy of Dwindling Supplies, but I'm just showing you that if there was, I'd be able to still discard the card and go down to 3. All right, just sending lots of willpower, because why not? And let's say enemy again. Is Wingfoot ever going to trigger? That's kind of the only thing I'm concerned about at this point. The card we get? Nope, not enemy. Another treachery. Doomed 1. And then each uncharted location in the staging area gets +1 threat until the end of the phase. And then if you are at a ruins, you need to discard cards to get an enemy, which would just go in that trap. But whatever, I'll just use Eleanor. And we get, oh, great, another Curse of the Downfallen, which does nothing. So that was a good use of Eleanor. And we have cleared the location, and now we will exhaust the gate key and travel to the final Temple of the Deceived. We got the Grotto's entrance. It's 8 progress forced when it becomes the active location because we flipped it over when we traveled there. We need to put the Temple Guardian in play engaged with us. If we place 8 progresses? If we place 8 progress on it, we win the game. So you don't even need to kill the Temple Guardian. All right, combat. Well, this will be is it the 3rd or 4th time in a row we've done this? So there go the shadow cards from the forest snared enemies. No longer -1 defense. So Amarthiel defends that wimpy attack. There I remember to exhaust the gate key. And then, of course, the Armor Destier gets rid of the shadow, and there would have been a shadow. Okay, so that's good to get rid of that. And all we have to do is defend. And so I can defend with this guy. He just takes 1 damage. And let's kill the Temple Guardian because we can. So there is 2 attacks of 5. So that is enough. He is in the victory display. And we have characters ready that could kill even more if we wanted, but why? Enemies boost my wardens. That is the least helpful card in the world to draw at this point. Like, I think I have 2 cards left in my deck. All right, let's get through this game. I sent 22. We reveal Aimless Wandering. Sounds about right. So I have to remove 1 willpower from my questing characters. So obviously we make 8 progress, and I clear Gather Info, which I'm not even going to trigger because what's the point? God dang. All right, so the Temple Guardian's dead. He didn't have to be, but we do put 8 progress on the grotto. So that is a victory. This is a long one. Thanks for sticking around to the end if you did, and good luck with this quest. It's one I don't take out very often because it is kind of a pain to set up, and it is a long one, but it's a good one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.